everyone. I hope you're having a great week. Welcome to episode 10 of Pixel Perfect Gaming. I'm Chris.
And I am Patrick. Chris changed it up a little bit there, threw me off my game. But just to give everyone a little overview of this episode, we're just going to do a little what's new between us kind of deal, kind of catch you guys up on anything new going on with us, whether we want to talk about in our lives or what we're doing for games. Then we're going to talk about March releases, touch on those, and then we're going to talk a little bit about violence in video games.
Which should be an interesting one, because I'm sure a lot of people have different opinions on that one.
I'm sure, definitely. I feel like a lot of people I really feel like it comes down to age group. We'll touch on that later.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll get into it near the end. We're already about to be like, okay, well, hold on.
Sorry, jumping the gun there.
Yeah, too excited. All right, so Pat, what's new with you, in life and gaming?
What's new with me? Honestly, not a whole lot. Just got back from a casino trip. Had a lot of fun. Didn't spiral into addiction, so that's always a plus. Because, man, I tell you, I love me some gambling. Wouldn't mind a little gambling addiction. As for games, still playing Apex, still playing League. Really just waiting for that Devil May Cry. Playing a lot more League than Apex, so I'm getting a little frustrated with Apex. They've had disconnect issues since the beginning, like the game crashing and you disconnect and you can't reconnect, and they are not solved yet. So there's a lot of disconnects going on with the game crashing, and there's no way to reconnect it or anything like that. I'm not saying they necessarily had to have this issue solved by now since the game came out, but it's not any better from when the game came out. If anything, I've been crashing more lately than I was before. It's almost as if it's gotten worse, but it might also just be that I'm so annoyed by it now that whenever it happens, I feel it in my bones a lot more. Just want to rage a little bit. But
so you feel like did a recent patch change anything with the performance?
I mean, I think there's been 2-3 patches since to help with performance, but they were all minor things. I don't remember what they were off the top of my head, but I mean, things written in there were about looking into these crashes and trying to figure it out. So you'd think it would either be better or that they wouldn't implement anything that would make it worse.
Right, they certainly wouldn't try and make the issue compounded compared to what it already is. Yeah, I haven't touched Apex it's been probably 3 weeks, maybe a month. Wow, has it really been that long? Yeah, I think
you've really played since the episode where you talked about how much you loved it, and then you left me.
And I stopped playing it in traditional fashion.
Like, wow, it's great. Bye.
I feel like a fanboy. I really I don't want to play it. I mean, I'm only going to play it with friends anyway, and so it's just kind of like I don't really play that stuff by myself, but I've definitely grown out of first-person shooters as I get older, I think. I don't know. I have less patience for them, it seems.
I get that. I understand. I get a lot more frustrated with first-person shooters than I used to.
See, you're getting old.
Getting old and ornery.
Basically. So there's all kinds of crashes going on with Apex. I mean, are you crashing pretty much every time that you play it at this point?
Tried playing earlier today. Got one good round in. It was super laggy at the start, but that's always possible. That's on my end, not their end. Tried to play a couple after that, and I DC'd 3 in a row. I think it was 3 in a row.
Wow. And then, like loading into the game, you disconnected 3 times in a row?
We would get into the game, and I would either, when we're dropping out of the plane, I disconnected. Okay, so twice. We played 2 more after that one and disconnected twice. So I dropped out of the plane, disconnected while we were flying down, and then the next time we had landed, we had looted, everything looked like it was going well. I'm like, yeah, cool. I'm finally like, we're going to be able to play this one through. And then I took one of the balloons to get back up in the air to try to cover some ground, disconnected again. So those 2 disconnections seem to be tied to like the jetpack sound. Maybe it's some kind of sound issue. I don't know. I have noticed that whenever the crashes happen, the game, like there's a lot going on. A lot of gunshots getting loud whenever we're jumping out of the plane, and that's loud. The loud parts is when it happens. I've never just been sliding down a hill all on my lonesome with no one around and crashed.
So it's actually in the gunfights that it's causing some kind of problem and it's crashing. That's wild. Have you made any changes yourself that may have, helped or started the crashes? Like any kind of settings?
In-game settings, I tweaked like a couple things, saw no difference. I made sure all of my drivers were up to date. There was a new driver released that was supposed to help with Apex. I haven't noticed any difference with that. There was one thing I had to go in and like delete a ton of the game files and the logs and stuff and then reboot my computer and play again, and that worked. Honestly, that worked for like a week. No crashes. But I don't want to do that all the time.
Yeah, understandable.
Like, hey, let's play some Apex. Let me go in and delete all these files out real quick and then reboot and then hope it works. And if it doesn't, then I'll just hate my life.
That's strange. I wonder, I mean, I kind of would have thought that they would have found the issue by now and gotten it corrected.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that it is still an issue. And like, I'm not the only one, I'm on Reddit a lot, and it's always on there, always people talking about their issues with the disconnects and everything, so, and the crashes. But hopefully they figure it out soon, because I really do like the game.
But it's wearing thin right now.
Yeah.
The novelty of it might wear off if it keeps doing this for you, I bet.
Speaking of novelty, how's Final Fantasy going? Got him.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been a roller coaster for me, honestly. I am just south. I think I'm like level 49 as a white mage right now, which is the highest level I've been as a white mage over the 3 or 4 times I've tried to play this game. And I think it was earlier this week, I was really on the fence about, do I go ahead and buy the expansion that's coming out in July because it has all the content, all the previous content, and it'll save me money if I'm going to go ahead and do it. And, am I comfortable paying $12 to $15 a month or all that kind of fun stuff for this game? Am I going to be invested long enough that this is going to be worthwhile for me? And so I even was actually shopping new keyboards at one point because I wanted a more macro-based keyboard specifically for the game. So I was even looking into that. And then, I don't know, over the past day or two, I just was kind of like, I don't know. I don't know that I can play this long term. I don't know that after this trial, I'm really going to be able to stick with it. It's just such a time sink. And
was it burnout? Was it your hype died off, the novelty wore off? What do you think?
I don't know if it was like a novelty issue. I think it's just me realizing, okay, it's going to be thousands of hours that I would have to really put into this game. And for what? Like, I don't really know what I'm working towards. There's really no end goal for MMOs. It's just kind of better gear and then the grind for better gear. And that kind of wears off pretty quickly for me. There's no real goal or end game aspect to it. So it's just kind of like, I don't think it's really worth the time investment that I would have to put into it.
So what changed? Because, you had messaged me saying, like, I'm watching all these videos, like, I'm really going to stick with it this time. Like, you're all excited to play it, and, you've played it before, so you knew the grind that would come into it and everything, so I'm sure you realized it whenever you were going gung-ho for it. Like, what?
I think what changed is when I really had to start looking at putting down the actual money to do it. I think that's what changed because I had a 45-day trial, which is more of like a 35-day or 30-day trial now at this point. But I think when I have to, actually fork over the money and then think about that money coming out every single month, that changes it a little bit for me because of how closely I budget my money. And I'm gonna end up seeing that on my spreadsheet every month and thinking, did I get the value out of that this month, or is it just going to waste? All right, so right back into it. We had to take a quick break because Pat had to potty. So what were we talking about?
We were talking about Final Fantasy still.
Yeah, so I think we were talking about how the moment money basically becomes the defining factor is when I kind of pulled the trigger and decide, what, I don't think this is going to be something I'm going to pursue long term. So I think that's really what happened for it, and just the amount of time investment that it would end up being. I think those were the two big draws for me.
Don't enjoy it enough to warrant those things?
I don't really think so. I feel like I feel like it would end up being something that I would play maybe a lot every once in a while, but then months would go by and I'm paying money for something that's just, active, but I'm not really getting anything out of it. And I don't really like that. That seems like a waste to me.
Been there. World of Warcraft, man.
With WoW, yeah.
My sub ran for so long when I wasn't playing until one day. I was like, wait a second. I should
Why am I
cancel
still
it."
doing this?
Yeah, definitely. It probably ran close to a year, honestly.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm trying to avoid. So, yeah. So I've had one of those days. Today's been a really difficult day. The weather's kind of crappy, and I wanted to play games, but I really could not decide what I wanted to play. So I started with Final Fantasy 14, and within like 20 minutes, I was like, I don't feel like playing this. And then I tried Warframe, and then I didn't want that. And then I tried Final Fantasy 14. I didn't want to play that. I played Slay the Spire. I played Dead Cells. I played Hitman. I've bounced around to so many different games today, and none of them have really made me happy.
Nothing tickled the itch, huh?
Nothing's done it for me. No, I mean, I played Dead Cells for the first time in a long time, and I did feel like they almost put too many buffs into it, that it's simple compared to what it used to be, or much easier compared to what it used to be. And I wasn't a big fan of that. So that kind of bummed me out. I mean, I used to struggle to have a decent amount of HP, and now I'm just running around with an ungodly amount of HP, and things hit me. I'm like, that's fine. You just go right ahead.
Yeah, see, I didn't think Dead Cells, whenever they full released with their updates and everything, in my opinion, it wasn't harder or easier. I just felt like it just felt the same to me.
It definitely felt a lot easier than I remembered it being. I mean, the only reason I ended up dying in that run was because I took one of those cursed chests that, you have to kill so many enemies, that kind of thing. And I cleared the area without realizing I hadn't gotten rid of it. So I literally still had one tick left, and then it ended up in the boss fight. And I was like, well, the odds of me not taking damage on a boss I've never fought is basically zero.
Yeesh.
So didn't go well, but
so with not having a game to tickle your itch, let's look at March. What's coming out? Anything in there you think that's going to do it for you?
Probably not. Well, I'm not going to buy Devil May Cry 5.
Whoa, what?
Not on my list. Yeah, but it's not on my list anymore.
You're killing it.
I mean, it's not like we were going to be able to play it together anyway. So, but yeah, it's not one that's in consideration for me at this point.
So what's in consideration for you then? Division 2?
Probably not. I would kind of have to wait to see what happens with that one. I mean, the Final Fantasy 15 DLC, Arden DLC is coming out, and that's probably going to be free because of whatever. I've already got the season pass stuff, so I'll be able to play that without having to spend any money on it. Sekiro comes out, I think, on the 15th or later in the month or something like that. I'm interested in that game, but I'm not going to buy it quite yet. I want to see what it looks like from a review standpoint before I put any money down on that. So, I mean, if there's anything that I'm leaning towards, it's probably Sekiro and The Division 2, honestly. But I'm worried. I don't think The Division 2 would be much fun without people to play it with. I think as a solo game, it would probably be pretty boring for me. I'd have to meet new people, and I don't know if I want to do that.
Man, I'm out here thinking you were all gung-ho on Devil May Cry 5.
I mean, kind of, but the demo was kind of underwhelming for me, and it's $60, you know? I don't know if I want to look back at my budget at the end of the month and be like, man, that was a wasted $60. I already did that in January with Kingdom Hearts. I don't need to make a habit of doing it every couple months.
Well, I mean, you enjoyed the previous ones, right?
I didn't play the fourth one. I think I played 1, 2, and maybe 3, and they were fun, but I also didn't buy them. I didn't put up money for them. I think back then it was either renting them or someone else had them, so I'd play them over there. Yeah, something like that. So, or Blockbuster, for like the first 2, maybe.
Rest in peace. No, Blockbuster was still around for the third one because I rented it.
Was it? Okay. So, I think that's how I kind of played those back then. I didn't have to put up a full $60 for it, which
That's true.
I don't know.
I miss Blockbuster and being able to rent games.
I mean, you can still rent games. You just have to do it through Redbox.
I don't want that. I want to go in the store.
I was going to say the issue is you get, at least in Massachusetts, is you get stabbed while renting a game at a Redbox. And then you're down.
That is a hazard if you go there.
Mm-hmm. Especially depending on the street where you get one. I mean, you go to that gas station on Cambridge. Yeah, you're probably getting stabbed.
Yeah. So I miss Blockbuster.
But yeah, you don't want to do the Redbox, even though, I mean, it's basically the same thing. You have to go into a store to use the Redbox. You'd have to go into a store to use Blockbuster.
Is GameFly still a thing?
Yeah, I think it is, actually. Is it worth it? No, I doubt that very seriously, but
I could start a free trial.
Like a 14-day trial where it takes them 10 days to send you the game, and if they don't have it back by the end of the 14 days, they bill you like $40 or something stupid like that. You mean?
Maybe.
That's what it sounds like it would be.
How long would it be? Let me hit start free trial here and let's see what it would be.
14 days. That I'm just guessing. But while you're looking into that, so yes, we have Devil May Cry 5 coming out in 2 days, because it is the 3rd when we're recording this. It comes out on Tuesday, the 5th. Dead or Alive 6 already came out this month, and it's getting a lot of flack for... I don't think it's flack for the gameplay, but it has a season pass, and it's called Season Pass 1, and it's $100, which is absurd. It has one character and a bunch of costumes, and that's all it is. So, yeah, they're getting a lot of hate for that, which is understandable, because I don't think anybody wants to pay more than the game to get one character and a bunch of costumes, especially when the costumes used to be unlockable through the story mode gameplay and challenges and stuff for that game. So that's a little goofy.
$100 pass. Yeah. Wow.
And they named it Season 1 Pass. So there's probably going to be a Season 2 and maybe a Season 3. But after all the hate from the first one, they're probably going to lower the rate, I would wager. Or maybe they'll take it up. Maybe it'll be $150 for Season Pass number 2 and $200 for Season Pass number 3.
I don't like it. I'm out.
I mean, it's Dead or Alive 6. I don't think you were going to buy that anyway, were you? I mean,
I was never in.
You were never in to begin with. You don't even play those games.
Just let me be out.
Okay, so what's the GameFly say? What's the update there?
30 day free trial, and then it's $15.95 per month after that for one game or movie out at a time.
Don't they have a digital library now too? I thought they had a digital library.
I see nothing on here about a digital library.
See, now that's something I could get behind. Pay a subscription to play games digitally that you don't physically have access to. Well, that would be something I'd be interested in.
That just jogged my memory. Shadow.
What about it?
A coworker of mine's boyfriend just got it, and he's currently loving it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's now paying for the subscription. He's trying it out. So I will wait, give him a little bit of time to really try it out, and then touch base with him and see how it's been going. See if he's going to continue with it, or if he plans on canceling it, if it did live up to his hype or not. And so I'll be able to report back on that.
So last year when I got my new laptop, I no longer needed my gaming laptop, so I told Mike that I would sell it to him, and so it was going to be, I think he was going to buy it for like $300 or something like that, but he decided to do the Shadow instead, so he could play at work on his phone, that kind of thing, while at work. So he's been doing it for, I think he did it for December, January, something like that. It's been like a month and a half. He had some pretty big issues with audio lag initially, where he would boot it up and the audio of the actions in the game were noticeably laggy compared to the inputs. I didn't have issues with it. Like, he gave me access and I logged in and checked it out. I didn't have any problems, but he eventually reset everything, like factory defaulted basically everything, and it works fine now. But from what it sounds like, he's been enjoying it. It sounds like a pretty neat option for people that don't want to put up the $1,000+ for a gaming computer.
Yeah, like, I mean, if you run it for a few years, it's
Yeah, after a
ends up
few years, I
costing
mean, it's
more.
going to end up costing. But when you factor in, you're probably going to upgrade, certain components after a couple years, that type of thing. And Shadow's going to upgrade those components on their side anyway. Then I
Yeah.
would say it ends up being fine. Downside is if you don't have internet access, your internet's down. You can't play anything at all. So
Yeah, I can't even play like your offline games.
yeah, you wouldn't be
That
able to
part
play
does suck.
anything. But I could see
Mm,
where it would be worth the money for people that didn't want to put up, $1,000, $2,000, or even $600 to buy a really terrible gaming computer. Yeah, I mean, Shadow would be a better value because it's 2 years essentially that you could get before you're buying a computer, basically. Because I think 2 years would cost like $650, $700, something like that.
no, do you get to like? Do you have your own virtual desktop that you
Yeah.
put like you log into your own Steam and you can put your own
Mm-hmm.
icons on the desktop and
Yep. You have your own virtual desktop, your own dedicated machine and hardware just for you specifically, and your own login and everything like that. So yeah, when you set it up, it's all yours, and when you go back in, it's the same Windows. So I mean, you can do more than just game on it. So if you need an editing rig, so let's say you did YouTube and you had a laptop, but it wasn't good enough to play games and edit, like you could in theory do the games on there and edit your videos and stuff like that on there as well.
you get your own personal equipment that you're playing off of, right?
Yeah, out of their server rack. Yep.
So this is not like an immediate profitable business then.
For them, I don't think so. No, I mean they're putting up some serious hardware. I mean it's like 1080s, like GTX 1080s, and some serious hardware goes into it on their server rack. So yeah, I don't think they're particularly profitable right out the gate.
Yeah, I mean they're probably getting some massive discounts if they're buying in huge bulk. So
Probably, or buying older SKUs of GPUs and things like that, especially now with the RTX series and stuff like that out. They probably don't have to worry about upgrading to those since it wasn't as much of a jump as everyone had kind of hoped it would be. So I imagine there's discounts for that, and I'm sure they have investors and things to help offset some of the cost.
yeah, it's a very cool idea. I really like the idea. I think it's a needed thing. So I hope it sticks around. I don't know. Maybe I'll eventually do it instead of upgrading my computer. But
I think it's a cool idea because it kind of lowers the entry gate for people that aren't PC gamers. Because I feel like if you want to be a PC gamer, that the entry barrier can be pretty high, especially if you want to have a decent
for
machine
sure.
to play games, at good quality. And I think Shadow offers up a service where it's like, okay, you want a PC game, but you don't want to have that price barrier. So a monthly payment of I think it's like $30 a month, something like that. It's fairly low, all things considered. And plus the given benefit of, okay, you want to play it on your phone or your tablet or your laptop or virtually anything that has internet access, you can do that. So
How do you play on your phone? How would I?
they have an app. So they have an Android and an iPhone app, and then you can get one of those controllers that are compatible with phones because they have
Like a
normal like
Bluetooth controller?
Xbox, yeah, like a Bluetooth controller, and then you can play full-fledged AAA games on your phone. Now, would you
Hmm.
necessarily want to? That's a different story because you got to think. I mean, there are certain games that are probably going to look terrible or just impossibly hard to enjoy the visuals on a phone, depending on the size of your phone. If you got one of those new Huawei flip phones, one of those fold out phones that got the bigger screens, then it probably wouldn't be too bad. But yeah, on just like a standard like iPhone 5 or something, I imagine it'd be pretty terrible to play a lot of the AAA games. But stuff like Dead Cells, I think, would be doable and pretty neat. But then if you had like a iPad, I think an iPad would be a great one.
So I'm looking on their website here because I just wanted to see what the cost would be. It's $30 a month if you sign up for a 12-month plan, or it's $35 a month to month by month.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to commit to a plan. Then I was also looking here. There's this thing called Shadow Ghost, which is a new thing they have that it's a stream box, like we were talking about before, that just hooks right into your TV.
Oh yeah, I forgot that they were doing the Streambox option too, so that you could do it to the TV, which I think is also very cool because I would like to stream to the TV.
Yeah, it's a cool looking little box too.
Yeah, I remember. I think Linus Tech did a video on it not too long ago. I'll put it in the show notes when I find it, because the switching from one to another, because he switched from TV to computer to phone, and it took seconds. I mean, you're talking about you pick up the phone and you open it up and you're in the exact same spot in the game that you were on the computer 3 seconds ago, picking it right back up and continuing it. So it was pretty cool.
I'm trying to find out how much their little Streambox thing cost. And do you rent that too, or do you own it?
I would think that you probably own it, but let's take a look.
Let's see. Get with subs. Oh wait, what if I hit already a customer? Gotta log in. Can't do that.
So the Shadow Ghost is 4K, Ultra HD at 60 frames per second, or 1080 at 144. Now the downside is, so I don't. The one thing I will complain about, they tote this whole 60 frames per second at 4K. And while I think that is feasible, and I think I bitched about this in a previous episode, I do think that is feasible to an extent. One detail they leave out of their marketing is, you're not playing max settings at 4K 60 frames per second on a 1080. It's not going to happen. So you're talking like low to medium to get consistent frames per second. You're not going to be playing it, all the way maxed out on ultra or anything like that if you're trying to play 4K on it. And that's just because the hardware to do that is just absurdly expensive, honestly.
The Shadow Ghost, by the way, is $140.
Okay.
Which, I mean, isn't too bad.
I mean, it's got, what else does it have? So it does the streaming for you basically without having an actual computer. It looks like reduced consumption. Yeah. So I mean, it basically is, if you want to hook it up to your TV, it reminds me of the Steam box, but much more successful. And obviously, instead of going into your own Steam and just, transferring Steam over, you're logging into another virtual machine and using it through this box. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. And I mean, 1080s, I'm looking here, are...
Says it has no fans or moving parts, so it's quiet. It consumes less energy than the Shadow box. I don't know what the Shadow box is. I guess maybe it's the other box they had previously. I'm not sure. HDMI supports up to 144 hertz. Yeah, $140 is not a bad price at all, honestly.
No, not at all.
That to me, that is a better solution than, say, gutting an entire computer that you once had and then rebuilding it from the ground up to play 4K on your TV, which is what I did. Which I don't even do now because I don't have it hooked up to my TV anymore. But
so you get GTX 1080,
12 or equivalent, yeah, 12 gigs of RAM. I think it's a Xeon processor. I can't recall exactly.
256 gigs of dedicated storage.
Now, can you upgrade the storage? That's something I need to ask Mike about, because the 256 gigs, depending on what you're doing, that's going to go pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah. That will go very quick. Now, does that include your operating system?
Yeah, I think it's probably closer to like 240 gigs, realistically, when it's up and running. Now, one thing I think is cool is, if you use this as a virtual machine to do like editing and stuff like that, like I think that's a cool option. Log into Shadow, have it running, do your editing, and then go use your computer for other stuff, because it's not, having the wear and tear of the editing running in the background. So I think that kind of stuff is pretty cool.
I'm like,
it's a neat idea.
I'm liking what I'm seeing. I just don't need it yet. I can still get by with my old gal, she's a little dusty.
The being able to play it, because I mean, I love my laptop, but it's not a gaming laptop by any means. So I think being able to stream it onto my laptop and play it wherever I want would be really cool. I would really like that. I think, honestly, I'm probably going to bug Mike for his access again and then use it some more.
You hear that, Mike?
That's probably what I'm going to do. Because I would like to try it. I mean, the laptop I have has a dedicated GPU in it, but it's just, I mean, it's not going to do anything much more than Dead Cells or Slay the Spire or anything like that. Really anything beyond that, it gets toasty, and it's like, why are you doing this to me? I'm not made for this. Stop doing it.
This is not what I was meant for.
It's like, I have a 3K screen. That doesn't mean I'm here to play 3K games. Like, stop.
Here to watch movies at 3K.
Yeah, basically. So I don't know. It's pretty cool. I like the idea of it. I mean, Mike had a couple issues here and there, but all in all, it worked out. It seems to have worked out pretty well.
See, I really like the idea of this for Andy, for you, Andy, because
because he doesn't have a gaming rig, right?
Yeah, and he would like to play games on a computer with us, but he just can't dump the money into one.
Or even like Matt, instead of getting a gaming computer, a desktop computer, that kind of thing, like just buy the little shadow box and hook it up to the TV and, play online with us or something like that. Cut the cost in by like 80% based on his current budget.
By quite a damn bit.
Yeah, because I think right now we're spending like $1,200. Granted, it's too late for Matt. He's already bought half the computer, basically. I mean, he just got his water cooler last week or the week before. He's looking at SSDs and stuff now. So it's this idea is out the window, basically. There's no reason to worry about it now. But for people that haven't made that, gotten through that price hump, I think this is a doable option. Now, assuming your internet is not trash. So, I mean, if you have trash internet, like satellite 20 megs or something like that, this might not be, or okay, yeah, I suppose if you have dial up, you should not. I mean,
it actually says on here. Where did it go? It says on here. It said it somewhere about it having.
It supports up to 1 gig downloads.
Yeah, but it said that it's optimized in a certain way to work with slow connections and.
I don't know about all that, but
I wish I could find it. That would be fantastic.
Low connection mode, stream optimal image quality even on low connections. I see. That's for encoded video stream though. Mobile interference. I really like the idea of playing it on phones and tablets and stuff like that. Like that part is really cool to me.
Like that's cool, but it's gonna kill the shit out of your battery.
Yeah, I'm more so thinking from the aspect of my laptop, like laying in bed, watching Netflix with Liz, but at the same time playing something that's kind of mindless, like Slay the Spire or Warframe or something like that. I think that would be cool.
Man, you should just download some like Game Boy emulators and play some old Pokemons on there.
No, what I should do is I should get Shadow and then download Game Boy emulators onto that and then play them off of that.
My laptop can't handle emulators, man.
Shadow looks at it and is like, yeah, they're using the 1080 to play Pokemon Blue?
Yeah, it's heavily modded. Yeah.
Like the original Game Boy Castlevania? Like what? This is an interesting Mario. Choice. Yeah.
Yeah, I support it. Have at it.
It's pretty cool. I don't think I would ever necessarily switch over to something like that just because I like building computers. I like upgrading and, physically doing stuff with my computer. So, and I'm kind of already over the price hump when it comes to it. I mean, it was 6 months ago, like 6 or 8 months ago, they announced the 2080 Ti's, and you heard me bitching about the price and how it's just like, I want to play 4K games on the TV, but the price is just too much. And
yeah, and then you're like, I ordered it. And I was like, what?
Yeah, and then it took 3 weeks before I just broke down, and I was like, I'm doing it, damn it, because I want it, and I want to play 4K the way it's intended. So I did it anyway, then I overclocked it.
I wonder how it says always upgraded. Like they're always upgrading their parts to keep you up to speed, but how often?
Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. How often is an always upgraded? Are we going to see RTX come out for them? Like, are they going to put, like RTX 2070s in there because they're better? I mean, they're better than the 1080s, and they've got the, are we going to get real-time ray tracing on them? Yeah.
If they said that we will always be using the top end card of the previous generation of what's currently out,
they would never be profitable.
I mean, that's what they're using the 1080 now.
I don't know. Well, and the problem is you have to. So I wonder what the bottleneck is. So hold on. Okay, so that's the other thing we need to consider too. Is if we look at it, so ShadowTech, the bottleneck between the CPU and the GPU, because I mean they may end up having some bottleneck issues if they don't have a good enough CPU to run things. I know the graphics is 1080. They don't really say what the CPU is anymore. Did you see where they listed it at all?
No,
I think it used to be a
Xeon.
I don't see it on here now, though.
All I see is graphics, memory, storage, high-speed internet, operating system. Nothing else.
Oh, you're not allowed to overclock on their machines. Just in case you were curious, I was. I was like, what if I get a Shadow? And I'm like, how hard can I push this stuff? Like,
I mean,
how much?
I kind of assumed you wouldn't be able to overclock it.
You know, I wanted to try anyway. I mean, I could see them voiding my contract with them and being like, no,
do it and see what happens. See if they undo it and they send you a message that's like, yeah, tisk. No.
I don't know what I think it was a Xeon. I think when Mike had sent it to me, I think when he had sent me the specs on his rig, there was a little bit of bottlenecking. I think he had mentioned it to them to try and see if he could get the parts upgraded, but I don't recall ever hearing any kind of update on that.
Now, could you be paying the same price as somebody every month? Because it doesn't look like they have tier for pricing. It's just, $5 off if you lock into a 12-month plan, or And can someone have a better system?
I would think potentially.
Like you got the 1080,
I think
I got the 1080
possible.
Ti in mine.
Well, I don't know about that one. I think they're going to be as close to a 1080. I don't think it's going to go 1080 Ti. Mike's was not a 1080. Mike's was a I can't remember what it was, but it was like 5% or something like that beneath the 1080 performance. So that's what they mean by equivalent. Like it's close, but not exactly a 1080. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was a Quadro, like 6,000 or something ridiculous. I can't really recall. And it was a bit of a gripe at first. Is like, okay, well, you're saying equivalent to 1080. I expect a 1080, honestly. Like, just give me the 1080. So, I mean,
just give me everything.
Yeah, but at the same time, the price per month, it's I don't know. I mean, for Mike, it made sense because he was thinking about my laptop, which doesn't have. I mean, it's a gaming laptop, but it doesn't have a 1080 on it, or even what he has from the Shadow Play, and he was going to drop 300 on it. So basically, and I think he ended up getting his subscription for a year for $24 a month because it was like Black Friday or something like that, or like a December special or something. So he even, he made out kind of like a bandit. So he even got a better deal. And so for him, it made sense because he's like, okay, cool. So if I get this, then I can play it on my computer at home. I can play it on my, phone and my tablet, or, my other laptop, which is terrible and doesn't play anything at all. So for him, I was like, yeah, I mean, if it makes sense and you can get the audio issue worked out, then by all means do it. I can find some other schlub to sell my laptop to for 500. So that works out for me. I'm fine with that. Speaking of which, if somebody needs a laptop, I've got one for sale.
Hey, Andy.
450.
Well, that was definitely not a planned topic.
No, but I mean, when you mentioned that you had someone, I was going to save it until Mike is on the show at some point to kind of have him talk about his experiences, which we could still do.
Mike, I ruined it.
Yeah, but when you mentioned it, I was like, I've got about 2 months of talking to him about this, and I've logged into it twice, I think, to take a look for myself. I mean, I've tried Rise of the Tomb Raider with it. I noticed no input lag on it at all. I didn't notice any audio issues or anything. I mean, I only played it for like 10 minutes just to check the audio issues that he was having, and I was like, it's good on my side. I got nothing. So,
yeah, I don't really have much concern with the audio issues because I play a lot of games without audio, to be honest.
Mute everything. Yeah. I mean, for action games like Rise of the Tomb Raider, I would like to, I listen to those stuff like, I don't know, Final Fantasy. I mute everything. League, I typically had everything muted. I actually mute a lot of the games I play now that I think about it.
I have it very low in League because there's some things that I react to quicker by hearing the ability like winding up compared to seeing it.
Right, audio cues for some abilities.
Yeah, I react to those a little quicker than I do.
That's probably why I got wrecked so badly all the time. Is I didn't hear any of that stuff, and I definitely didn't see it because I usually wasn't even watching. I had the habit of like I'm running back into lane and I'm like Googling something and I'm like, oh, I'm dead. All right, I'll be back.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're re-downloading it so we can play again.
Yeah, that's a big no. Okay, so there was still one other game that's actually coming out for March that we haven't talked about.
Which one?
The Walking Dead final season comes, or the final episode comes out late March. Are you going to get that?
Probably.
Yeah?
At worst, I'll wait for it to go on sale.
Now, I think I bought the season pass for The Walking Dead through Steam, so I have access to all the ones that have come out, I'm pretty sure. And I think that one will probably count.
Season passes for those usually are like, it's season 2 and your season passes for all the episodes within season 2 when they release.
Now, is this going to be a final season that's coming out, or is it a final? It's a final season. Yeah, this is the end of it. Okay. So yeah, I would have to rebuy this one then. Because realistically, what I would need to do is have to play through the other episodes that I've not played.
I still think you should play 3.
Season 3.
So good.
I don't think I have anything for season 3. I just have season 1 and 2, which I don't recall season 2. Although I do wake up at night sometimes thinking about what I thought the ending was of season 2 because you gave me such a hard time.
Dude, season 2 is good. Like, it just starts out a little slow. It just gets better as it goes. It builds up.
Yeah, I only remember bits and pieces of it. I would like to take some time and just play through all of them again, like season 1 and then season 2, and then maybe decide from there.
I mean, you could bang out all of season 2 in a day, easily.
I might have to do that. I'll get it on Shadow, and then when I'm driving up to Pittsburgh, not next week, but the week after. So I'll just get it on Shadow, and I'll play it on my phone in the car on the way up to Pittsburgh. Just
there you go. Or you could just download it from the App Store.
From the App Store.
It's also like ported to mobile.
They have it on like Android and iPhone.
Yeah.
That's what?
I had the Borderlands one for it. Worked totally fine. It worked exactly the same as it does on the computer or the Xbox or whatever.
That's kind of interesting. Is it the same team that's developing the final season of this Walking Dead?
Or that was Telltale, and they're donezo.
I thought this one was still considered Telltale, even though they've I thought I read an article that they were trying, that the original development team was like trying to basically kickstart and raise money to continue the funding to finish the game, even though the company went under ? Is that what happened?
No, I think they got someone to like buy up that section. Like they got a different company to buy up and say, hey, like we really want to finish this one. And then the company was like, yeah, there's definitely money to be made on that. Let's do it.
Oh, yeah, there's our golden goose. Get in there.
I mean, hey, they're going to get my $25.
$25? Ugh.
What?
I wanted to fuss. I mean, yeah, I can't really complain about $25. I don't know.
$25 is fair.
I'm thinking about the Shadow thing now is all I'm thinking about.
Well, then just do it. Go sign up right now.
No, I don't. No, that would be nonsense.
Type all your information in and make sure you say it out loud as you type in your credit card.
I wonder if there is a piece of software that I could stream content from my computer to my laptop over Wi-Fi.
You mean just remote into your desktop?
Yeah, I guess that's what it would be, wouldn't it? It would just be remoting into my desktop. Yeah, I guess that would be
simple stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to look into that because then I could just because like I said, the only thing I really want to do is just lay in the bed and play video games. I mean, I like being at my desk, but I'm at my desk, every day for work, not playing video games. That's important. That's an important distinction. So I would like to be in the bed playing the video games. So I don't know, but okay. Any other games for you in March that are coming out that you kind of had your eye on?
Look, it's Devil May Cry and it's nothing
The Walking
else.
Dead.
Okay.
The Walking Dead. You already said that you're probably going to buy that.
All right, you're right. It's Devil May Cry and The Walking Dead and nothing else.
That's
If you
understandable.
just edit out where I fucked up earlier, that'd be great. I know you won't.
Yeah, I probably won't. Yeah, I know you're probably not going to get Sekiro because you don't play Demon Souls or Dark Souls or Bloodborne or really anything that FromSoft has ever made, I think. So,
I mean, nothing against them. Just never have. That's all.
I mean, the reason I don't already have it pre-ordered, I mean, I think it's going to be a really good game. The only reason I don't have it pre-ordered is because they have Activision behind them, and I just want to see if Activision does something that they shouldn't be doing. Like there's loot boxes or some kind of nonsense in it.
I just want to see if they crash and burn.
Yeah, I basically want to see if they fuck it. Okay, and if they don't, then I'm like, here's my money. I've been waiting. I'm excited now. And if they do, then I'm like, yes, called that one, Activision. Called that one.
Well, the odds are probably in your favor, to be honest.
Since it's FromSoft, I feel pretty confident that they're not going to do anything ridiculous because they hadn't already. But you just never know with Activision at this point.
Destiny 2 was from Bungie.
Speaking of which, no, actually, because I don't know anything about it. I forgot we had mentioned that we didn't know anything.
Long story short, new updates are coming out. Let's see what happens. And MC.
Yeah. Now that they've separated, now that Bungie and Activision have separated, Pat had mentioned it earlier in the week, like this is happening. And I'm like, I don't know anything about any of this. So I'm like, this? I think I messaged you and was like, is this the expansion you're talking about? And it never got answered. And I was like,
I don't think I ever replied.
We'll never know.
And I won't answer it now either.
Yeah, there's no reason to now. So, I mean, we'll wait for other people to answer it and then we'll go from there. Although I do remember there was another article you had sent me earlier this week. I think it was video games relieving stress, if I recall.
It was about, video games relieving stress and violent video games actually making people less violent.
I did not recall reading that part of it. Maybe I should be honest.
Maybe it was 2 articles and I only linked 1.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, because I skimmed the stress one, and then I remember just messaging you and being like, they're referencing some studies, but I don't see any kind of citations to these studies. I need to see these studies.
I'm sorry, Chris. This is America?
You can't just, okay. Yeah, you absolutely can. You can definitely willy-nilly say things. That reminds me, I was in Ulta yesterday. This is off topic. I was in Ulta,
that's the
really
makeup store, right?
Yeah, the really super bright makeup store. The one that kind of blinds you and you can see it from a mile away. Yeah, that store. So Liz gets something there, eyeliner, something, mascara. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I was doing there. But
is it a naked palette?
No, it's no palette type of thing. It's a brush thing that you put near your eyeball and it's uncomfortable. So
yeah, naked palette.
Okay, whatever that means. Anyway, so the one that she got had these stats on it, like 94% of women, it had this impact and it cleared up this in 98% of women. And of course, there's a little asterisk around it. And so I'm like, okay, on the box somewhere, because of marketing, you have to tell me, a little bit more information about this. And so it's on the one banner, in very small print, it's like, based on consumer panel survey. And I was like, okay, well, that's not very detailed. That doesn't do me any good. So then Liz picked up the individual package, and on the individual package, it says based on consumer panel surveyed out of 31 women over 2 weeks. And I was like, that's a really small sample size of women. I was like, maybe we need to find a different product. I was like, 31 women over 2 weeks. Like, really? I don't know. They better not, like, they're not going to be scientists for like cancer or anything anytime soon. I can tell you that.
I mean, honestly, it's very possible that, I mean, it's so easy for them to skew those results in how they want them to.
Yep.
So it's
Just
very
a little
possible
bit.
that they did a lot more women in the study, and they were like, we want a higher number. We'll just pretend
Yeah,
that.
they did 3,000. They didn't like the results. They narrowed it down. Yeah, well, I mean, food companies do the same thing. You've got egg associations that run their, like egg associations that run their own egg studies, and Coca-Cola running their own studies. Then, you know, everybody hires a shit scientist to make shit results and do shit things.
Hire me.
I'm not. No one's
I'll be a shit scientist.
What are you gonna give us results on?
Whatever they want, man.
Give us some vaping
results. You just said
results.
a shit scientist. They pay me to do science, then I'm a scientist, and I would be shit at it. So boom.
Accurate. Very accurate.
Can't beat that logic, man.
It's better than some of the logic I've seen in some of those studies. So anyway, the article didn't have any studies. So all I did was glance through it. And I was like, I've got no studies in this. I don't know what the data is. I don't know how they did the research. So I don't know what I trust and what I don't with this. So now you said I don't recall getting any kind of article on video game violence making people less violent. So tell me about that.
I mean, it's really easy to sum up. It basically just comes down to people that have violent tendencies are able to just take them out in video games, in violent video games.
Interesting.
Out and about in their day, things happen to them and they get all riled up and they, want to fight that guy, or they want to beat the shit out of who's or what's her, and they go home and they play a game where they do that. They can beat the shit out of something.
And they feel better.
They feel better, and it helps channel it into that, and so it gives them a place to channel instead of, John Doe's face.
Video game violence is one of those things that I don't think is simple. I don't think it, like, I feel like growing up, they, when they talked about in the news, they'd be like, well, studies show that playing video games makes you more violent, period, cut and dry. And I just don't think it's that simple. I think as you get older, you realize that psychology, family life, how you were raised, emotional impact, psychological impact, like all that stuff comes into play. And so I think that I think all of that can have an impact on, whether video game violence actually, kind of leaks over into your life a little bit more. I think about when I was a kid and my family life was, it was fine. No big deal. But I don't recall video games making me violent. I remember wrestling. I used to hop around and want to beat the shit out of stuff when I watched wrestling. So I think that probably was worse for me than video games.
Well, I think it probably comes back to like skewed results again. People who, are dealt a bad hand, so to say.
News and media are trying to put a spin on whatever story that
I would never say such a thing.
Yeah, okay, good. I wanted to make sure that this wasn't turning into some kind of political agenda,
Oh, no, not at all. But fear mongering.
Popular tactic.
But so, like, people who are just dealt a bad hand in life, they have bad home lives, raised in poor conditions, whatever, can be more violent people, tend to be more violent people, you could say. And it's pretty easy to say that violent people, if they're playing video games, are probably more drawn to violent video games. So it's not necessarily that the game made them violent. They're already violent people, and these are just the type of games that they like. So they look at this and say, well, the game's violent. That's why they're violent.
Yeah. Well, and of course, I mean, we can't draw we obviously don't want to, we don't want anyone that's listening to assume that we're saying if you grew up with a bad family life that you are likely to be violent or any such characteristics, because we know that's not true either. I mean, it's different for every person. I mean, there are a lot of people who go through the same circumstances, and you see that everybody comes out a little bit differently. Some people handle it really well. Some people break down in certain areas. Some people end up addicted to drugs. Some people end up addicted to alcohol. Some people don't have addiction at all. Some people go to food, and that's why we have 600-pound life. I don't know if you've seen that, but I've binged all of it.
You can have a terrible life growing up, terrible family life and everything, and
come out of it being one of the most beautiful souls you've ever known, and other people can grow up with amazing family lives and never had anything go wrong with them or anything like that, and then they're giant piles of shit. Like it could go either way.
Yeah, I feel like the video game violence conversation, at least I don't recall it being much of a topic until the Columbine shooting. Like, I don't recall really hearing much about it being something that people really talked about much until that happened. Oh, geez. I was going to say, we need to Google it because I don't even remember. I mean, I remember when Mortal Kombat came out, and that was kind of a conversation. Yeah. I mean, I remember Mortal Kombat came out, and that was kind of a conversation initially, but I don't remember it being that big of a deal. But then the Columbine shooting, all of a sudden, Doom was on blast. That's what I remember about it. It's like, oh, well, they played Doom all day, every day. And so obviously they want to run through schools and shoot students because, they're basically demons. I'm not inferring that other people are demons, although I mean, that's accurate. I do feel that way some days.
I can remember when I was younger, we lived in Indiana at the time, so I was somewhere between 7 and 11 years old, probably. And I can remember seeing something on the news where they were talking about violent video games and how, I can't believe our kids are getting to watch this, and it's molding our young minds. And the clip they kept showing over and over was, I don't remember what the game was. It was so long ago, but they're standing over someone that they just killed in the game, and they can shoot the limbs off of the dead body.
Soldier of Fortune.
Was that what it was?
It was Soldier of Fortune, 100%. I love that. That was the first game I ever saw do that, and it was amazing. Because I remember you could pick up the bodies too, and I remember we would. There's one level in particular that you're in a house. This is gonna sound terrible, but you're running into people's houses, and I was killing people in their house and then putting their bodies on the bed and then cutting off their limbs with guns. It was a good time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'd like to call back to our episode where we talked about Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
What the
plane?
The whole airport incident. Yeah, I understand that it sounds crazy, but it was fun for me when I was 14. I had a good time.
Well, I think it's funny on the news and everything when they talk about violent video games. They, they'll always say things like, "Oh, and I can't believe they're making these games that our children are going to be playing." And it's like, no. You're letting your children play these games. They have ratings on them just like movies do. And if you want to break
I don't think the ratings
were
particularly intense back then as they are nowadays, though.
Yeah, they still existed, though. Not anything. Really? You think that they're more strict now with the ratings? I would say less.
Really? I thought that I don't know. I felt like back then, and I'm just going off of memory here when I was a kid, but I felt like the only thing I remember seeing back then was NC-17. I think that's the only rating I ever really remember seeing. I don't really recall seeing anything else.
I can remember seeing E for everybody, and
I don't, for computer gaming specifically, I don't recall there being any kind of hey, put in your birthday and tell us, which obviously that's a terrible barrier, but I don't even remember that being a thing. I just recall oh, you bought our game. Good job. Put the disc in. All right, let's do it. So.
Yeah. But there are artificial barriers set up there for, hey, parents, child's 12. This game's 17 plus. Maybe don't let them play it.
I think the part of the issue too was parents were not particularly educated on what the system was or what the numbers meant or how the rating system worked, which you could argue is the fault of the parent. I mean, you probably shouldn't buy things if you don't know what they are, right?
And at the same time, though, but they're so simple. E, everybody. T, teenagers. M, it literally would say mature 17 plus.
Yeah, it would typically, well, that's what made them simple is I think it would say E and then everybody underneath it, that kind of thing. I think if it just had E, T, and M, then to a lot of parents it would just be I don't know what that means.
I could get that. If it didn't say those things and a parent was I don't know why there's a T on the box, I'd be okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I was actually just watching a video of Soldier of Fortune, man. That brings back some memories.
I
Game
love.
looks terrible,
I
but
love.
it was.
You're shooting limbs off a dead body. Soldier of Fortune, guarantee it, 100%.
Yeah, there was no hesitation in what it was. I mean,
Love that
I was
video
like,
game.
yeah, I was like immediately like, I am 100% certain that this is the game, and I am thrilled. I remember Joe and I would play it all the time. It's good stuff.
I mean, do you think that with video games and with developer companies that there should be some kind of limit or responsibility, or like when they're making a game that they should say, maybe we shouldn't be able to do this in the game? Do you think anything like that can fall onto the developer?
So let me make sure I understand. So you're basically saying, should there be restrictions on the development team as far as, limitations on what they can and cannot do in video games? Is that what you're?
I'm not even saying like legal restrictions. I'm not
Just
making it
moral
into a
or
legality
like
thing.
ethical restrictions, that type of thing?
Yeah, should there be a point where they're making this game and you can kill someone and drag them onto their bed and dismember them, where they should go, maybe that's
Maybe
a bit
too far.
much. Yeah, like,
I mean, it's hard to say, honestly, because then you get into the whole censorship topic, and the whole freedom of speech and censorship and all this kind of stuff. And I think that brings that into it. And it's like, okay, well, if you're going to censor this, then where do we stop?
Yeah. I mean, and you also then get into like movies.
True. True, because there are a lot of messed up movies out there. I mean, I would rather see violence in video games than violence in movies any day of the week, honestly. I don't know what it is for me personally. I'm able to disconnect way more from a video game than a movie. And maybe it's because I have a lot of control over it, but there are some messed up movies out there that just really creep me out that I do not want to see. Human Centipede, as an example. Tusk.
Seen it. Highly recommend it.
Have you seen Tusk?
No.
I don't
actually highly recommend Human Centipede either, by the way. Have you seen Teeth?
I'm gonna edit that out so they don't. No, I'm not watching Teeth. That's the vagina with teeth movie, isn't it?
Vagina dentata.
Yeah, I knew it.
There's literally a doctor that he yells vagina dentata, like,
yeah, because I saw
just screaming it over and over.
Liz and I used to watch one thriller type of movie pretty much every other day or something like that on Netflix, and then we've seen the Teeth. Had a woman on it, said teeth, and we'd seen the trailer and we were like, this is telling us that her vagina has teeth. Like, this is horrifying. We do not want to see this.
It was weird.
Understandably. Yep.
I rented it from Blockbuster.
No, you did not.
I'm pretty sure I did. Pretty
What?
sure I was working. I'm.
The movie is that
fairly
old?
confident. Yeah.
Maybe they have a remake or something on Netflix then. Because what?
I'll
I thought it was
right now.
newer
Teeth
than that.
movie. 2007. Yep, I was working at Blockbuster when I rented it.
Wow. Okay, it's older than I thought. I thought it was. Okay. I don't recommend the Tusk movie though.
What is that?
Tusk. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
No, tell me. Give me more.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not gonna go into detail. Go ahead and Google it. It's actually got a actor in it that you might recognize. Actually, it's got Johnny Depp in it too. Now that I think about it.
Has Johnny Depp and it's what's his name?
Yeah, that guy.
He was in Jeepers Creepers.
Yes, he was in Jeepers Creepers and some kind of certified college comedy movie.
Like a bunch of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, he's a fairly he's probably like a B- actor or something.
Justin
I don't know.
Long. That's his name.
Sure, I believe you.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, 100% I believe you. But no, I mean, to get back on topic, it becomes an issue of censorship at that point. I mean, I think there are probably some development studios that from a, their own individual cultural stance, they don't want to make video games, I don't know, as bad as they could. And I think that's fine, if they want to go that route. But I don't think we should put restrictions on them just for the sake of, I don't know. And it's, I want to use the word, what's the term that people use these days for people that are offended easily?
Snowflakes.
Yeah. So that seems to be a popular thing now. And I don't think we need to cater to that, honestly. I don't think we need to cater to snowflakes. Which is snowflakes broken down into an age group? Like, is there just a specific age group of people that are a little snowflakey, or how's that work?
I mean, everyone says that it's millennials and Gen
I mean, technically,
Z.
I'm a millennial. I mean,
but-
I'm at the from an age perspective, I'm like at the top tier there, but I'm technically there.
But in reality, it's anyone that goes, I don't like that, change it. Meh. That's what falls under the scope.
Huh.
I'm offended by that. Don't do it. Meh. They meh every time, by the way.
Oh, do they every time?
Yeah, if they
that's
don't
just
meh,
part of
then they're
it?
not actually a snowflake.
Oh, I see. So that's how I differ. That's how I know in public if I'm dealing with one or not. That makes perfect sense.
Exactly. So
Yeah, it does seem that
I
people
know.
get offended pretty easily these days over stuff that I don't know, stuff that I don't even lose. I don't even lose sleep over it, but I lose no thought about it. Like, I don't know, just nonsensical things.
I agree.
I don't have time to be thinking about that. I've got other things to think about. Like, Houdini hasn't taken her medicine tonight. Like, that's more important to me than whatever
You
nonsense
should do
they're
something
going
about
on
that.
I mean, she has. I was just using that example. She did take her medicine.
Got me over here all worried.
No, she's still a pain in the butt when it comes to taking it, but she does take it. So
With
I
the
can't.
bacon paste.
Yeah, I can't confirm whether. I don't think the drugs have really had an impact yet. I'm thinking maybe next week we'll see for sure, but she definitely seems better than she was. Like, she's not. We actually had somebody over this weekend, and they didn't knock on the door. But typically, if someone new comes into the house, she hides anyway, and she actually just laid on the bed the whole time. So that was an
Well,
improvement.
that's good. That's improvement. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's a win. Chalk that up in the win column.
Yeah, so we've got one win, like 100 losses. But you know what? That's fine. We'll catch up.
Hey, a win's a win, buddy.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what else do you think about the video game violence topic? Do you feel like I don't know? What do you feel? Tell me what you feel.
I just think it's all overly ridiculous. Like if you're someone that's complaining about video game violence, especially like with kids, but you're not putting the research into the game that you're going to allow them to play, you're going to let them play it and just wait and see what happens, then that's 100% on you. That's all you. If you don't want your kid playing that, don't let them play it. Look into what they're playing before you let them play it.
I agree. I mean, I definitely think that, if you want, I think it's great for kids to play video games. I think it helps them develop. But yes, you need to be aware of what they're playing,
Mm-hmm.
Just give them Viva Pinata. That's my recommendation for every kid out there. Viva Pinata. Not two,
As it should be.
just the first one. Just the first Viva Pinata. The second one was terrible. The first one was amazing.
I've never played any of them, so
Really?
yeah.
I think I got all the achievements in the original Viva Pinata except for play 50 hours. I think I only played 43. But
So you should boot it back up and just let it sit idle for a good 7 hours.
I think I'd have to recover my old Xbox game tag to do that. And I don't even know what the name of that is.
Well, is probably your current handle, I would say.
Maybe or maybe not. I'm actually kind of curious what my Xbox game tag looks like from an achievement standpoint now. I'm going to take a look.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I use like the same 2 or 3 handles for everything. Mostly one, and if it is somehow taken, which it never is, but if it is somehow, then I got 1 or 2 fallbacks.
Yeah, I know that you basically use the same thing for everything under the sun.
Yep. XX420, XX, no scopes, XX69XX.
I had changed my Xbox gamer tag quite a few times over the years.
Really? I don't think I've ever name changed anything.
I did because I used to play Rainbow Six and stuff competitively, and then do tournaments and stuff like that. So eventually, I didn't want my Xbox gamer tag to be well known, so I would just remove it and change it all the time. So I logged into my old account. Let's see what games I've completed, because I used to do the whole 100% completion stuff.
I mean, without doxing yourself here, is your tag is it one that you commonly use? Is it one that I would know?
Pretty close. Yeah, pretty close. Not too far off. So I got Ooh, I remember playing Bullet Witch. I don't know if you ever played that game. Abysmal. Don't recommend it.
I think I have.
I did 100% Hitman Blood Money and NBA Live 2006.
I
And
thought you were going to say the
College
100%
Hoops.
that Bullet Witch one.
No, I got 5 out of 10 on that one. 500 points out of 1,000. You have to beat it 5 times to get all 1,000 points. And after the second time, I did not ever want to play that game again.
I feel you.
Prey. I was one achievement away on Prey. What else did I focus on? The Darkness. That was a painful one. I'll never forget that one. Gears of War. I'm trying to find my Viva Pinata one. Man, that was a good game. Oh, I did play Devil May Cry 4, according to my Xbox 360. I don't remember that.
What was the game? Oh, what was it called? It was a co-op
X-Men
game.
Origins Wolverine. That was a good game.
Was it?
That was a good. I have 980 points out of 1,000 in Viva Pinata.
Gonna go finish that up or what?
I'm telling you, I'm going to look right now. I think it's 50 hours, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to double check. Does it tell me what I'm missing
It
here?
should.
It's a secret achievement, so it doesn't tell me. I'm pretty sure it's 50 hours though. Man, that was a good game. What game were you talking about? It was a co-op game.
Oh, it was meant to be played co-op. Like you could play it solo, but it was meant to
Kane
be
and
played
Lynch.
co-op. No, not Kane and Lynch.
Pretty close though.
But like the same concept of a game though. Like you were two like ex-military dudes.
Two armies. Huh? They had
You're on the right
masks and
track. It wasn't
tattoos.
called. Yeah, it was like all about the masks. Like you could customize. your
Yeah,
mask
there was
and
like
unlock
2
new ones.
arms.
It wasn't called two armies.
Army
It
of
was
2. Army of 2.
Army of two. That's what it
Army
was.
of 2.
Those were fun. I like those.
No, those are terrible. Those are terrible games.
You're terrible.
Accurate.
I got really offended over that.
Calling those games terrible.
I got some good nostalgia tied into those, man.
Really broke you down a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
Man, this is so long ago that I played Xbox. Oblivion 100%. Heyo. That's a good one.
No lifed that one out, huh?
Alan Wake. That was a good game.
Oh, I liked Alan Wake.
Yeah, that was a good game.
I agree.
Man, I played a lot of terrible games just for the achievements back then. Goodness gracious. All right. Sorry, we're getting off topic again. Is there anything else you wanted to say on the topic of video game violence?
No, I think I'm good. Yourself?
Honestly, I would just say if you're a parent, just be aware of what your child plays as much as you can, obviously. I mean, don't like strap a camera to them when they go over to their friend's house and, monitor them like that or hack into their, I don't know, phones and weird shit like that. Don't do that kind of stuff. Give them some privacy, but also use your head and have a little bit of common sense and just understand what the systems are, what the games are. Do your research before you decide to buy anything for your kids. Do the same thing for movies. I watched a movie the other day that was geared towards kids, and it was not a child-friendly movie. There was a lot of violence and like bleeped out cussing in that movie, and I'm like, this is not appropriate.
It was meant for kids.
Yeah, it was definitely geared towards kids. It was like an anime, like a Pixar, like a Pixar anime style movie on Netflix or something. Liz's nephew was watching it, and I'm like, I feel like this is not an age appropriate movie for him. Like, this is a little much. So,
Is it on Netflix?
Yes, it is on Netflix. It was called shit. What was it called? Also, this podcast is not child friendly. I want that to be clear.
Whoa now.
If you're a parent, don't do that.
My nephews are queuing this up every Wednesday, dude.
Stop it. Stop it. That's Next Gen is the name of the movie. I typed in kid movies for Netflix and it came up. It's called Next Gen. It's a robot movie. I don't think it's appropriate for kids, honestly. I looked at the reviews while we were watching it, and most people were saying, like, this is kind of not appropriate for children. I was like, I agree completely. There's a cussing dog in this movie, which sends a lot of confusion around dogs. They don't talk. And 2, they certainly don't cuss. And there's not going to be anyone out there bleeping dogs if they did start cussing. So it's just not realistic.
If dogs could talk, would they swear?
Probably.
I vote no.
Really?
I vote no.
Huh. Would they be like really wholesome, you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would hope.
So, okay. So the way I see it now is that dogs are really wholesome. Cats probably are sailors.
Cats, they would be the ones that would swear, especially
Yeah.
Schmidt.
Schmidt would not, I don't think he would so much cuss. I think he would yell like an alpha male at you specifically.
Like a screaming goat? Is that what you're getting at here?
No, I think he would just be really bossy. I don't know that he would necessarily use profanity, but he would definitely verbally abuse you.
Look, if he could talk, if animals could talk and they learned their vocabulary from their owners, then he's a swearing.
Yeah, I could imagine that. I picture there being days where we would get on Discord to chat, and you would just, I would be like, "Is something the matter?" And you're like, "Schmidt and I had an argument." And you
Schmidt
just
and I had a
like,
falling out today.
yeah, you just feel really broken down because he's taking advantage of you.
Yeah, I can see it. I can feel that in my bones.
Can you?
Yeah, that's exactly what would happen. I would get into some real fights with Schmidt. I mean, I get in
Yeah.
fights with him now. I just yell at him, he meows at me, and I just yell at him more because I assume he's talking back.
Moments where you're, Schmidt, what are you doing?
Hey, it's like trying to get into our drawers at 3 a.m.
Of course.
Schmidt, stop it! It's like, well, I'm like, no, go away.
But I need in here. You don't understand. That's where I hide the things. That's where I put the things, human, when you're not home.
He's ridiculous.
Think about all the stuff that he goes through when you're not home. Although you have the kitty camera now, do you ever just like open that thing up while you're at work and see him like doing shit he's not supposed to do?
You know, every time I've opened it, so, I mean, you know, like most cats, he's got his spot that he likes to sleep in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He's got like 3 spots. You can find him in one of those. And whenever I would check, he would never be in any of those spots.
Hmm.
So I don't
So
know
he's
if
up
he's
to
got like
something.
this secret spot that he likes to sleep in that he just doesn't want us to know because we wouldn't let him sleep there. So he's like,
Probably.
they're not here.
It's on top of
Time to
the.
go
It's like on top of the
sleep on
counter.
the
Although
TV.
I think that camera would see into the kitchen, doesn't it?
No.
Oh, it doesn't.
Maybe. Never tried, actually.
He opens the cabinets and just walks in and sleeps in them.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he does open the cabinets and go in there.
Yeah. I mean, you can hear Houdini opening the cabinet some nights. She hasn't done it for a while, actually, but you can hear her trying to open the bathroom cabinets and the kitchen cabinets and all this stuff. And she just opens it and walks away. And it's like, why? Why are you doing this? She's a jerk.
Not surprised. Not surprised.
All right, Pat. So that is our conversation on video game violence, as productive as always, I'm sure. But go ahead and take us out of this episode.
All right, everyone. Hey, you know, thanks for joining us as we had quite the off-topic podcast this week. I think probably a good like 25% of it was Shadow, and that was not listed. So thanks for joining us for that. Thanks for putting up with it. If you were really interested in hearing what we had to say about video game violence and you just sat through us talking about Shadow thinking, what the hell's going on here? Let's skip this shit. Sorry about that. Thanks for coming. Any newcomers, hope you come back. And we'll see you guys next week. Have a perfect day.